Welcome to another episode of the Replenish Me Show, where I interview powerful women like our guest today and get strategies on how to nourish and energize and reframe our perspective with sweet talk. Today, I have empowerment coach Farah Butt, who's visiting us today from London. And I'm going to allow her to tell us her story and how she got into an empowerment coaching career. So welcome to the show, Farah.
Thank you, Cordelia. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I guess we bumped into each other online. I was listening to one of your very riveting lives on your personal timeline, where you were talking about being a fatherless daughter.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I thought that was quite interesting, a quite interesting concept. And it's interesting, I found it most interesting because right now, in this day and age, we've got parents that are always on their devices, right? But when we were growing up, that wasn't really the case. Although it didn't stop some parents from being vacant, but physically present. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Now we have the advent of social media. Prior to social media, we had, I think, the information highway, the internet as it's called, and that often served as a distraction for some parents or just people generally. It was a new way to absorb and gather information. And we all know that as soon as any one of us is distracted, we're not really being physically present with those people around us, and that can sometimes be our own family, our own children, and even our own spouses or just friends.
Yeah.
So social media itself can have, we all know and we're fully well aware how social media has great plus points, but it can also have it can also lead to exacerbate mental health challenges. In children, it can lead to online bullying, or cyberbullying, and for adults, it can lead some adults. I don't want to say all adults, but it can lead adults into a multitude of other sort of potential pitfalls, whether that's pornography, whether that's online gambling, whether that's what else is there? I mean, a whole heap of other pitfalls that can lead us away from what our main purpose is in life. And of course, that's different for different folks.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your story and why you felt like your father was absent.
Yeah, basically the reason why I felt that my father was absent is, without going into too much detail, my dad, my dad passed away like 8 years ago. He never loved my mother, and I have touched on this in a Facebook Live. So my dad never loved my mother because she wasn't a white-skinned Asian woman or a white-skinned European woman, and I want to be quite careful how I would, because my dad has now passed away. But as a result of this, my dad didn't love my mum. It's as simple as that, black and white. No sort of hidden meaning. It was just that. And he didn't find her attractive, and he would often be verbally abusive towards her. He would hit her. Although he was very strict in making sure that all of us had good education and we all studied hard and went to university, but he believed in following the old school way, which is may not even be the old school way, but let's call it the old school way, for want of a better word, and that is by ruling the family with an iron rod. So he would sometimes hit my brothers if he felt that they weren't performing academically once they ought to be according to history. But so my dad didn't love my mum, and as a result of that, we grew up in a broken family, a dysfunctional family, because there was no mental, emotional support infrastructure in place. So often I would take friends for advice, And it made me look inwards a lot. It made me become very reflective and very self-aware. Because I recognised that my thought processes, my feelings weren't that of a normal teenager. I'd often think about suicide. I used to walk around with crisis notes, in my bag. I'd often wish I was dead. I attempted suicide when I was 17 at the time, and then I attempted suicide again when I was 21. And that's because I was deeply unhappy. I lacked a lot of self-confidence. I had deep-rooted self-esteem issues, self-worth issues, you name it, I had it.
Right.
And I just was very depressed, and I suffered from stress. Although I could speak to my friends, I couldn't tell them how at home, and I didn't talk to teachers about it either. So for me, I found it a very isolating, lonely experience. And because I didn't have any sisters, I found it difficult to reach out to anyone in my own family, because I'm an only girl. I've got 3 brothers, and my father and my mother. My mum was quite detached from having any sort of real emotional conversations about how I was feeling and what was happening for me, because she was going through her own challenges. She was going through her own roller coaster of emotions, and my way of dealing with challenges was a completely different way my mum handled challenges. My mum would often just shove things under the carpet, didn't want to talk about the fact that we're not a united family, didn't want to address these issues, whereas I'm the type of person, I want to bring everything out in the open. Let's talk about it, let's find a solution, let's find a way forward. Let's look at the repercussions of staying in a marriage that isn't working. And I remember saying to my mum when I was about 14 years old, and I was sitting at the feet of my mum, and I said, "Mum, divorce Dad, because we're getting married to Dad. This will not only continue to affect your life, it will affect your children's lives." But my mum wasn't ready. She wasn't able to take the step to divorce my dad, although she was vocal enough much later on in life to say to my dad, "I want to divorce you, I want to divorce you." And she could have taken responsibility and ownership to divorce my dad. She didn't have to wait for my dad to divorce her, but she didn't. And I'm sure my mum has her own reasons why. So I believe it was being born in a broken family, the pain, anguish that I went through, that led me on my quest towards personal development. And I remember buying my first cassette, I think it was about relationships. And back in those days, we had cassettes, audio cassettes. And I remember listening to I remember getting notes to a friend from Auntie Robin. And I was always interested in, why we behave the way we do. And that's psychology of the mind. And that always fascinated me. But digressing slightly, I believe that my brothers suffered a lot. And although this is probably deviating from the question you're asking, men and women handle emotions very, isn't it? Okay. Men and women handle emotion very differently. We all know that women are encouraged to talk about emotion. If not with their family, they've got some form of outlet. There's always a female that they can speak with, or maybe, a male companion to speak. But generally speaking, men are not encouraged to be emotional, encouraged to cry. Especially in those days, when we both know that men were encouraged to bottle up, don't act like a big girl's blouse, or don't be a wuss, whatever the different kinds of terminologies they used to use back then.
Yeah.
And we all know that can have a detrimental effect to hindering a child's emotional intelligence and emotional management, because that will only play out in depression.
Yeah.
And it's proven as well that girls often who come from broken homes also can sometimes become quite aggressive as well. They may not always necessarily just break down and have a meltdown. Their version of a meltdown may actually be an aggressive spell. So that's what led me down to pursue the road to personal development. And on the back of that, I always wanted to become a psychotherapist, interestingly enough. And psychotherapy was something that I thought was a field that I felt naturally inclined towards. But because I lacked so much self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, and I was quite depressed, I didn't trust my own judgments. I didn't trust my own intuition, my own opinions. And therefore, I ended up studying subjects at university that I was not interested in, and I disliked. And I asked my oldest brother's advice to get his opinion on what I should study at university. I went on and, you know, had a career in public relations, and again, I didn't enjoy it in the slightest, and it wasn't a field that played towards my strengths, let alone did I find it even fun in any way, or even interesting. And again, I did that because I lacked the self-belief that I could actually pursue something that I loved. And also my mind was so consumed with so many different things that I didn't take time out to think, okay, what's my roadmap, what's my blueprint, my plan of action to actually get me onto the path that is my purpose, my calling, where I feel that I'm going to add value and make a difference, and as well as, feel fulfilled. So for me, it's more about, we all know that success isn't inside out.
Right.
So that's my journey. Chucking it all out, like putting all out there and out there. That's generally my road to why I became interested in psychology, why I became interested in coaching. On the back of psychotherapy, I then started reading more about coaching, and I dipped in and out of personal development, having travelled to Orlando to attend Anti-Robin's Date with Destiny. Of course, I went by myself to go to Anti-Robbers Unleash the Power Within pro seminar here in London. I went and did landmark education, and I met interesting people in the way, and who I believe helped trigger my path to where I am now. And sometimes we have late bloomers. There's a reason why we're all operating in our own time zone, and no one is better than another. Whatever when I think I watched a video lately about the time zone, how your time zone may be different from my time zone, and my time zone may be different to somebody else's. And we're not in this race. We're just operating simply in our own time zone. But anyway, I shall.
You bring up so many good points, and it's like, a lot of your journey is a lot of stuff that we just don't talk about, quite frankly, right? So, you grew up in a broken home, and you were struggling with your self-confidence, self-esteem, and you didn't have, your mother to learn how to work out your emotions. This is, is a big problem. And so, but the good thing is, right, is that you were able, that is what propelled you to look inward. I think I've had several guests that have, in their teenage years, they've had their bouts with suicidal tendencies and thoughts, and sometimes actual execution, and, having to be rescued. So, but in all cases, I see where, you have been
matters of self-respect, and I sort of immersed myself in, I would say, a great set of friends who I trusted, and who I know I could speak with if I was having a bad spell. And because they were so, how can I say this? Because they were so hungry for success, and committed and driven and ambitious, and not just ambitious, but they were disciplined and were consistent in all the positive steps they took towards achieving their definition of success. It encouraged me to also do the same. Having said that, I never reached the same heights of professional success as they did, because I knew I was always in the wrong field. And so something always held me back, and that was me. I held myself back. And I would say number one is about creating a strong support network, and that's what I had in place. The other thing that I would say, it's very much about being with people. I think it's very much about having integrity. And what I mean by having integrity is being truthful and honest with oneself. And again, being around people who encourage that, being around people who make a stand for you, allow you to settle being and playing small. And integrity is a word that we all hear very often. And so that's what helped me, I believe. And also I would say, I guess it's also about being consistent, consistency, never giving up, and actually being consistent with this road to success. Whether I deviated along the way, whether I digressed along the way, eventually, like you were saying, we were talking earlier about how you get pulled back to your default, which is your true default, your true state of being, and where you're meant to be. So I would say it's about having a great inner circle, reviewing your inner circle, auditing your inner circle, making sure that when you're in that boat, no one is secretly putting holes in that boat to see you drown.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. You do not want someone drilling holes behind your back. You definitely.
Absolutely. And what I mean, we talked about this definition of success, because in the 21st century, success is seen as it's quite a loaded word, and it's a word that often refers to, well, not always, but sometimes refers to sort of this culturally sort of celebrity obsessed. We live in this sort of celebrity obsessed culture, and people aspire to be famous. People aspire to be, wealthy, and to gain notoriety. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to seek fame. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be wealthy or to be a billionaire, multi-millionaire. Nothing wrong with that. But these are all byproducts of success. I mean, I think it's all about gaining or acquiring personal, heartfelt success. And what I mean by that is success. And you talked about the fact that you're a holistic coach, and that's about personal, heartfelt success linked with your body, mind, spirit, soul, heart, and your finances. All in one. It's one holistic package. And then if you achieve monetary success, fantastic. Yeah. If you achieve fame, if that's what your calling if the calling is, and if that's what you want, then great. But then I would ask, well, why do you want to be famous? What is the need to be famous? What's the need behind wanting to be wealthy? And is it because you want to, add value to somebody else's life? Is it because you want to, or is it because you just want to be put on a pedestal? Yeah. I guess, and that's, again, this is not me coming from a place of judgment. I guess it's for each and every single one of us to question, why do we want to achieve the level of success that we want in specific areas of our lives?
I like your take on integrity. And these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves when we're trying to decide what is our truth, right? Why, just keep drilling down with the why. That's so true. And
sorry.
No, and then the last point about consistency. Yeah, I think we give up too easily these days because, in the 21st century, everything needs to come like yesterday, right? We're the right now society. So, we try something for 3 minutes. We're like, oh, I'm not famous yet.
I think absolutely. I think nowadays we live in a society where short-term gratification is celebrated rather than long-term gratification. We live in a microwave society where you ping and that's it. We expect money, we expect the sort of great emotional health, we expect this great body, we expect this weight loss, whatever it is, we expect it here now. I want it now. And in the 21st century, it's very much about me, myself, and I, rather than what difference can I make in the life of somebody else without expecting anything in return. And I think one of the key things I would then actually add to your original question is intention. What's our intention behind anything that we do? And it's about having a powerful, pure intention and reviewing our intention each time. Reviewing our intention behind the goal. So goal planning is absolutely essential. Goal planning, and we talked about this earlier, didn't we? About having a strategy in place, as well as having the right strategy in place, having an action plan that supports the strategy, reviewing that strategy, perhaps periodically, whatever periodically means to you, whether it's every 3 months, every 6 months, making sure that you're on target. And I would say also having a coach. Now, I'm going to say this, and we did talk about this on how I don't believe anyone needs to have a coach. Contrary to popular belief out there, maybe, who knows, but I don't think anyone needs to have a coach. I believe it's all really important to find out why. Where are you struggling to achieve results in your life right now? Have you done absolutely everything to get powerful results in your life? If not, why not? What support system do you have around you that you can call upon? Because we all know that we have the resources within ourselves. And if we need that additional support, perhaps we have that wonderful array of resources out there already around us. And then, if not, it may well be that we decide, actually, I need X, Y, Z support in my business, or in my charity, or in my health. So who can I call upon to actually help me in that specific area of my business, my charity, my health, to help me to get, to help me to achieve peak performance, to get optimum results. And so, yes, I would say in some cases, having a coach or having a business mentor, if you're looking to set up, or if you're looking to take your business to the next level, is perhaps also a great luxury, I would say, to have, because it's absolutely a luxury. And we do know that some of the most successful, influential leaders in this world have coaches, have business coaches. So that's another thing that I would like to add.
I like that point, that that's the thing, because people always feel, especially women, we feel like we need to find something outside of ourselves, right? We need to find someone to rescue us, right?
Yes.
But don't really, a lot of the people that I've worked with, as a coach, they have everything inside of them. And I find myself repeating this line: you have that inner knowing. Let's just rely on it. So with that, you're also an author, and you have something coming up for people locally there in London, right? So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I got this book out, and it's called Build Confidence with Ease. And as part of being an empowerment coach, I also work with the National Health Service here in England. And I'm also very passionate about mental health. But going back to this ebook, it's a free downloadable ebook, and it's my gift to anyone out there who is struggling with self-esteem, self-worth, or a lack of self-confidence, or even somebody who may be struggling with managing their mental health, perhaps somebody out there who may be experiencing mild to moderate depression, and who benefit from reading this book called Build Confidence with Ease, because actually studies, and I believe it's King's College London University studies, show that often people who are suffering from mild to moderate depression often also have often suffer from low self-esteem and a lack of self-confidence. So this book, I believe, is a great guide. It's a very hands-on book. Yeah. So you get to do lots of exercises and do lots of inwards exploration. And my contact details are always there. If anyone has a burning question they want to ask, and I'm always happy to take any queries. So yes, it's a book called Build Confidence with Ease, and I think you've outlined some of the points in the book.
Yeah, I found it very easy to go through. The exercises really make you think. So it's she's being very humble, I think, with it, with the description. You got to download her ebook, though. It has some great exercises in there for you to introspect and really pull yourself out. And then when you're done, definitely reach out to Farah, because she's very approachable, and definitely she'll help you, and whatever you need guidance in, you want to go to her. So you have Yeah, that's absolutely the truth. Like there was no reason for you to respond to my message, you know? And so yeah, she's definitely very approachable, and but get her ebook and get started on those exercises right away.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I actually have a 7-day confidence accelerated program. And I launched it, I believe, a couple of months ago, but it's still, the materials are still there for anyone to access. All you have to do is jump on my Facebook profile page, Farah Butt, and it's Farah with one arm, and it's Butt with two T's. So, jump on my profile page, and then you'll be able to discover find where the 7-day free confidence accelerator program is. And if you can't find it, message me and I will send you the link to that 7-day accelerator program. And that's aimed to get you from zero to hero in 7 days. I mean, who doesn't want that? You know, I wish I had that back when I was growing up. And if that's not enough, I've also got my upcoming confidence building workshop that's happening on Saturday, the 7th of April in East London, in Leighton in East London. So that's going to be from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. And, you know, we're going to have obviously me. We're going to have a fantastic keynote speaker, and she's the head of talent management for Fox Network Group. So Rima Sood, Dr. Rima Sood, she's going to be there giving a special keynote presentation to any one of you beautiful souls who decide to come on board on Saturday the 7th of April. And we're going to have an assistant psychologist, Yasmin Nari, who will be there, and she's phenomenal. She's going to be there also talking about mental health and about confidence building. And I'm waiting to find out whether we're also going to get a second special guest speaker who will be talking about his journey and how he is living with overcoming cancer, and has sort of, having faced, you know, his challenges, he's still managed to be able to you know, develop and rebuild his self-confidence. And, you know, there's nothing more, I believe, nothing more impactful than having somebody who speaks from the heart, who's lived it, breathed it, and gone through real adversity to show how, you know, at the end, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and, you know, how he's managed to rebuild his self-confidence. So just waiting to find out whether he's going to be there. But yes, please do come along. First 20 people who sign up only have to pay £10. So it is, like I said in the post itself, it's called Speak Up, but it's a Speak Up workshop all about confidence building. And in addition to that, it's a strapline that I put in the poster, and I'm going to say here on your fantastic show, Cordelia, is that you get to build confidence without breaking the bank.
Yes.
Without breaking the bank. I mean, 10 quid. We can often spend 10 quid on lunch, you know, and, you know, it's a no-brainer. I mean, so if you're somebody who's been struggling with self-confidence or been dabbling in it here and there, or you've been to workshops, you've had coaching, or perhaps you haven't had any of that, and you just need to be around a fantastic team of people who are going to support you in your journey, and who aren't going to give up on you, who are going to be relentless to help you to master true self-confidence, please do come to the workshop. You will be taken care of, and we will not let you go until the results you want. I mean, who wouldn't want that?
You got to be there. You know, a lot of my listeners and a lot of my followers are in the UK, so, you know, you're in good company. Yes, absolutely. I have actually not very many Americans listening to me. So
they're coming. They're coming,
right? So, but I wish I could be there. I do, but I'm actually on my way to the other side of my country. So, but next time I will definitely try and come. So, but for those of you who are in London or nearby, please make it to her event on April 7th. And
yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I was just gonna say, I know that I'm just like grabbing you very quickly, and the time changed for you today. So it's
I'm gonna carry on now.
I know. I want to keep talking to you because I could just, like, you know, listen to you all day. You're so brilliant and gifted. Absolutely. Yes.
So
So
are you. You're doing yourself, honestly, Cordelia. But you know what I wanted to actually just throw in is about, we touched on sort of how, you asked what are the three things or the three key strategies. I would also say it's about discipline, mastering discipline. And when the chips are down, it's about saying, well, no, no matter what, bouncing back, emotional resilience, developing emotional resilience, mastering emotional resilience so that we are able to bounce back very quickly and maintain that level of discipline to achieve that level of consistency. So we all know that we can't rely on motivation alone to take action. We all know that in the personal development field. It's about not waiting for motivation. And as Mel Robbins talks about the 5-second rule, make sure that we, get out of bed, go out and exercise and go for that run that you've always wanted to do. Maybe not, but you know what I mean. Go out for that run that you've been delaying, get in the gym, and getting, a project started that you've been procrastinating on, or starting on the most challenging, items on your to-do list before you tackle the easier items. So I would say discipline, in addition to consistency, and the fact that, let's say this, also the ability to actually understand, what are we currently struggling with? I mean, I know what I struggle with, and how I try to reframe my questions that I have, or that I ask myself, so that I can overcome my challenges. And I'd like to ask you, Cordelia, if that's okay.
sure.
How do you overcome any sort of, let's say you have a challenge that stops you in your tracks, and then you think, okay, I'm having a bad spell, and I think I need to just stop working on this project now. How do you overcome that thought, that pattern interrupt, to actually get back on the task at hand?
That's a really great question. So, like, for one thing, I allow the emotion to take its course, right? And then when it stops, right, I question it. Was that thought true?
Yes. Yes.
And usually the answer is like, it's not true, right? Like, if I actually went through something like this, was it a week or two ago? I have meltdowns here and there.
I love your honesty. We all do. I love your honesty. Every single person does.
Yeah, and I was just in this whole, I can't help anybody because look at me, I'm struggling with this myself. And then I said, well, that's not true. For this moment, I feel overwhelmed because I chose not to sleep last night. I chose to have breakfast late this morning. I chose not to do my exercise. And I know that when I make those choices, that it makes me feel out of control and disconnected from my purpose. Right? So it's like a complete introspection reset kind of questioning that I'll do. And then I'll say, okay, well, here we are. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. How am I going to correct my day and, make my body and mind reconnect and get back on track? And, so whatever it is for that day, all I had to do was do a workout and then go and have a nice vegan meal. My midday, pull myself back together after workout kind of food would be like sweet potatoes with black beans and quinoa, and then some cilantro, because it's like really action packed and it actually energizes me. It like turns my brain right back on. And then I was like, okay, have some water and get back into it. And that was it, So
That's fantastic. So you already know then your formula for getting back on track, and we can all get taken off track. but you've got your formula in place. You know exactly, okay, so when I'm feeling this way, I know what I've got to do. Or it's like your medicine, isn't it, really? You've got your tailor-made Cordelia medicine that you just need to take a spoonful of to actually get you back focused and on track to get the results that you know you'll get. So
Absolutely. So that's really the place where we need to get ourselves to, all of us, like listening and watching is, when me and you are talking about people have this inner knowing, there is something that turns your brain back on. There's something that flips that switch for you.
Yeah.
And you just need to really tap into that. And if you're not journaling, make it a habit, like just 5 minutes, even if it's once a week, just, capture what it is that lights you up and turns you back on. Yeah,
absolutely. And I totally agree with you. It is about having 10 minutes, taking 10 minutes of your day to reflect, just to spend time reflecting, because reflecting on your wins. It doesn't have to be a massive win. It could be a mini win, and we all know that it's the multitude of daily mini wins that leads to the big wins.
yes.
But it's actually taking time out and reflecting. And I totally agree with you. And I think that's so fundamental. Some people may choose to meditate throughout the day, and that's their version of I guess that it may well be their version of how to reflect to get their energy levels back on super powerful strength levels. Other people might actually pray as well. I think I realize there's actually no one there's no one size fits for all. For somebody, it may well be actually, because I think I did a Facebook Live on this once about keeping a daily reflection log, and it was only sometimes I was thinking to myself, actually, for somebody, it may well be connecting with their creator, having a conversation with God. Somebody else, it may well be just meditating, and for somebody else, it may well be actually journaling, and for somebody else, it may well be doing all four or choosing two of those things. And there's no right or wrong. It's whatever works for the individual. And I think in as well as reflection, I think is also about having an accountability group as well. Somebody you can be. We talk about honesty, having sincere relationships, making sure that you have a great inner circle in place, and people that you can be vulnerable with. You can be honest and raw with, knowing that you feel safe and knowing that they also can be that way with you, and there's no judgment at all, and you've got one another's backs.
I call it unbridled vulnerability.
I like that.
Yeah, it's
that's fantastic.
That's my.
I like that.
And that's what I have, like, in my Facebook group. That's probably the only place that you'll ever catch me like crying and having a proper meltdown, but even with that, they're like, I love it when you do this. And then I also love how you pull yourself together and you're just calm again, and I'm just like, we're human, and that's what happens. And it does really depend on the day. You bring up some other good points, because sometimes it's not 3 o'clock in the morning, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Now 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to pull myself back together with a workout and food. That time probably I'm going to meditate or pray, you know what I mean? So it depends on the day, it depends on the time of day, but yeah, definitely capturing and knowing, like, when you need whatever it is that you need to get yourself back. Yeah.
And I think that's why having keeping, like you said, keeping a reflection log really helps. It really helps, and I think it goes back to becoming more mindful, practicing mindfulness as part of your daily either your daily morning ritual. It could be a ritual throughout the day, or it could be something that you do at night. Or you may decide, actually, you know what, I'm going to bring this on and do this morning and night. And all you hardcore people out there. But in addition to that, I was just thinking that, what I realize as well, that just to get started, and this applies to any single one of us, we don't need this sort of big psychological story or build up before we decide, okay, I'm ready to get started on my project. No, it's just about, taking the first step. I was nervous before I came on my Facebook Live. No, it's not my Facebook Live, sorry. I was nervous before I came on your fantastic show. And I even told you I was a bit nervous, didn't I? I was nervous. And I spoke to a friend, my friend said to me, but why are you nervous? You're an empowerment coach. And I said, do you not think that coaches are human as well? Do you not think that an empowerment coach doesn't experience real emotions as well as anyone else? These are titles. It's just a case of working through that. You experience the emotions, but you ride through it and you go through it head on and feet, and obviously with your feet, along, taking you there. But, and you asked in the question, I think one of the questions you asked when you emailed me is, what are the challenges that face businesswomen?
Yes.
I think you asked that, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, and I was thinking, what are the challenges that I believe? Because I think there are different challenges that face women depending on, and I'm going to be completely blunt here. I think there are different challenges facing women across different communities across the globe. So if you are, I'm going to say this, I'd rather be, be honest. I think, it was International Women's Day recently, and I shared a post, and I said in the post that, we can only truly celebrate, International Women's Day when we have true equality amongst women of all nationalities, faiths, race. Doesn't matter, regardless of how you dress, whether you wear Western clothes or whether you wear Eastern clothes, or whether you wear, whether you're, a Catholic who wears a nun, whether you're a Muslim woman who wears a hijab, which is a headscarf, whether you're bearded or or you don't have a beard, you're clean shaven. That's when, actually, that applies to men, not women, but
that's okay.
But you know what I mean. I'm sure all women experience facial hair as well.
Some do. Yeah.
Absolutely, and some do. So, sorry guys for anyone who is experiencing facial hair, challenges. I did not mean to be make any degrading comments there. But so I've got to get myself back on track now, because I realised I made a bit of a boo boo there, and I've come back.
That's okay. Just on that note, like a lot of women that have thyroid conditions or sometimes going through menopause, they will have facial hair, and there's really nothing to feel any way about. It is just something that happens. It's a natural bodily function, actually, in this case.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I think it is about I think that is a challenge. So some women may say, well, they experience gender discrimination in business, or gender discrimination even in the corporate sector. So it may well be, and I'm sure that is an issue for some women, depending on whether they managed to break the glass ceiling, or whether they're still struggling to break the glass ceiling. And I know that if you're an ethnic minority, then you will face greater challenges, as well as facing sometimes gender discrimination. And on top of that, if you're an ethnic minority who happens to be a Muslim woman who wears a headscarf, then you face triple discrimination, potentially. I emphasize on the word potentially, because I'm not making a sweeping blanket statement here, but I'm talking about real challenges that can affect, a female in the entrepreneurial world, as well as in the corporate world as well. And also, I think sometimes women fear coming off too aggressive when they're assertive in business. But I think there's also a fine line for a woman to play. I think it's safe for a woman to celebrate her femininity in the business world, and without having to become masculine in the process.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. You're right, because I feel like sometimes women apologize for their femininity.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they overdo it with the masculinity at the same time. You know what I mean? There's no need to do any of that. You can just be. And I think I talked about some of these things. I don't think I covered it this year in a Periscope, but I did on a Facebook post. I was talking about some of the challenges. Like once I became Muslim, you know, like I left work on Friday, right? Dressing like everyone else, came back on Monday, abaya and hijab, and people were like, what just happened, you know? And even over the years, you know, when I decided to do Periscope, you know, I would be in share-a-thons, right, with other speakers. You know, we all got 10-minute slots, and, you know, we go from like a nice blonde woman to me, right? And then I would get a different reaction, a different response from the same audience, you know, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. And either way, I was me. You know, I didn't change the way what I had to say, how I had to say it, but I did invite them to, you know, to just focus on the message, right? Which applies to any woman. So like if you're in the corporate setting, you know, I was a corporate accountant, so I wasn't there to talk to you about the way I'm dressed, but we are having a meeting about month end, so let's close the books, right? Just stay on. So yeah, and sometimes I was called cheeky. You know, they use that in America too, but it's a whole different meaning. So here, it's a derogatory term specific to African Americans, right? And it just means you're out of line. And, you know, so I would just use the word back and say, well, you know, let's all be cheeky then and just get the work done, because, you know, the books aren't going to close themselves, you know? So it's just redirecting, right? Just like you would do with a child, because the people that misbehave with women or misbehave with, you know, you because of whatever, you know, subset they're putting you in, right? They're speaking out of fear. You know, they're human beings too. They're speaking out of fear. They're speaking out of pain. They're speaking out of misunderstanding. And you just need to give them 30 seconds, maybe not even 30 seconds, to reset themselves, you know? Let's focus. We all have a common goal, and that's it.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And it's not about, you see, I'm saying it so easy, right? That's my way. I'm not being assertive, right? I'm not being rude. I'm just speaking the truth. And that's what I think with the opportunity that we're afforded this year with the Me Too movement that's going on. You know, like all women really need to just support each other by staying on track and staying focused with the common goal, right? So, I mean, because there are women that, you know, there are, I would say, separate Me Too movements going on, if you know what I mean, right? Because we ourselves sometimes can't unify as women.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's really not about her pain or her experiences is worse than mine or more important than mine. It's more about we're all women and we're all being marginalized, you know, and some are being marginalized more than others, but it doesn't matter. The focus is to get women not to be marginalized. That's really the big picture, right? That's the whole focus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
this interview has taken a turn.
It has, isn't it? International Women's Day not so long ago, and you know, it just reminded me of the question that you asked when you said, when you asked the question, you know, what are the challenges that face, you know, women in business, or you know, what are the challenges that I believe I may face or am facing in business? And it just it got me to question and think and actually reflect on, you know, the posts I shared on International Women's. And I totally agree with you. In fact, I was listening to a TED talk delivered by a hugely successful Arab female entrepreneur, And she said that here in the West, she believes, from what she's seen, that women don't unify. They do not help one another. It's very much a dog eat, dog eat, dog eat, dog eat, dog eat, dog well, dog eat, dog eat.
The dog eat dog world, and here we say crabs in a barrel. Yeah,
that's and she said yeah, absolutely. And she said she believes, from her perspective, from what she's seen, that women are all out for themselves generally in the West, or in the Western Hemisphere. But she said that in the Arab world, where she's from, she said it's very different, because women face a lot of challenges for whatever reasons. I'm not going to go into that, but and as a result of that, the women in Saudi actually unite and support one another. They're not trying to get a leg up over one another. They actually support one another because they all want one another to succeed in business, rather than actually compete with one another, which is what can happen here on this side of the pond.
Yeah. And this is you bringing up an interesting point, because a lot, like in my community, in my community, meaning my Facebook group, I try to encourage sisterhood. And as I experienced it when I went to the East, right? So I visited my mother-in-law in Bangladesh, and the way those women work together, it's just like, that's really sisterhood, and they don't even think about it. It's just like breathing to them.
Yes.
They never even dream of doing some of the stuff you see around here.
Absolutely. And I don't know what actually, I don't know how it's arisen, or what the root cause behind it, whether it is being created deliberately. I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea, but it's such a shame. But when there's a challenge like this, we know that we have got something to work towards, like you were saying, that is about uniting, and rather than looking at our differences, celebrating diversity, and celebrating the fact that yes, we have our quirks, we may have our differences, we may think differently, but ultimately we are women in business, and it's about actually supporting one another to become very successful in business. And if there's collaborative opportunities, snapping them up. If there's a really great opportunity that's happening over there, why not tell another female entrepreneur, by the way, guys, there's a really great opportunity, and I know that you'll really benefit from it. Why not come along as well, rather than keeping it secretly to yourself and thinking, no, I'm going to hoard this all to myself.
There's no such thing in the world, because like I always say, I think this comes up in almost all my conversations, there's like 7 billion people in the world. Like, that's too much for me. I'm sorry, I'm not that greedy. I just please come and help a sister out, have some.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And it's such a shame that when you see the opposite. But then I guess we've all got work to do on ourselves, and we'll always be work in progress until we take our last breath. I know I certainly have loads of things still to work through, and I always will have. But I think it just reminds you of something else, actually, that I think another thing that, I'm not saying all women, that some women may experience as a challenge in business, is the fear of success sometimes, or fear of failure, rather. Actually, more than success, fear of failure. And I think when a woman is working in a male-dominating industry, whether that's in business or whether that's in the corporate world as a salaried employee, then I think it is quite challenging. And I think that's the reason why women sometimes perhaps play down their femininity, and they behave more like men, because they believe that in order to become as successful as men and to be appreciated and respected by men, they need to play at their playing field, and they need to behave like them in order to actually smash through that glass ceiling. But I guess, we had the suffragettes movement, didn't we? But, you and I know both as Muslims that, women get granted voting rights long before the suffragette movement. Contrary to the information that's played out in the media about the role of, women in Islam. But that's not me negating the suffragettes movement anyway. That's just me, sharing something that's really, valid. So, sorry, I'm digressing anyway. I think I'm going off on a completely different tangent, Kadir.
That's okay, but since you digress, I'm going to also offer this. So, another thing that people don't realize about the Muslim world, that one of the first universities founded was in the 9th century by a woman in Morocco, right?
Yes.
She was an heiress, and she used her money to promote education.
Yeah.
And I believe it's in Fez, right? Her name was Fatima Al-Hiri, I think. And so she founded the first university. So like the idea of education, and most of the scholars in Islam were women also, right? People may berate the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but he had 12 wives, and quite frankly, they were the first scholars. So
Yes.
that's the other side of that, right? They were the closest to him. So they were the ones who could disseminate all the education and knowledge.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But wow, this was really an honor to have you here, and it was.
I'm really honored to be here with you. I'm grateful that you, have me on your show.
Yeah.
Can I touch on? Am I okay to share something else? Because I wanted to share.
Absolutely, it's
Okay.
This is me showcasing you. Tell us all about it.
That's that. Okay, you're gonna regret that.
Okay, within limitations, like we're only gonna do 60 minutes, okay?
I'm really joking. I'm joking. I was just going to say that I'm also a certified neurolinguistic programming practitioner, and what I mean by that is, in a nutshell, it's just that an NLP practitioner helps clients to organize their way of thinking, feeling, language. So it's basically the language of the mind, and the whole purpose behind it is to help you to achieve outstanding results in your life. So that's what an NLP practitioner does. So I just wanted to mention that, and the fact that if anyone would like to get in touch with me, check out my website, www.farahbuttcoaching.com, and it'd be really good for you just to sort of find out a bit about me, and forget about me. Also, I'd love to find out a bit of, a lot more about you as well. So that's what I wanted to say. And I do have a 7-week one-to-one confidence coaching package. I'm not sure whether I mentioned that before. I don't think I did. So guys, if you want to jump on the 7-week confidence coaching package, which means you get to work with me one-on-one, reach out, message me, or if you have any questions, we can have a chat, and we can take it from there. No strings attached. It's just a conversation. But more importantly, I'm going to drum home the 7th of April. I think I know I'm going to lose my breath in a minute. 7th of April, in London, coming to you, East London, 7th of April. So if you know anyone who may benefit from it, please do actually tell them. Now's the time. Stop procrastinating. Just come along to the workshop, and it's aimed at anyone and everyone who is struggling with, issues of self-esteem, self-confidence, whether they're desperately wanting to ask their line manager for a pay rise or promotion that they believe they're worthy of. And we all know that. I'm sure you are definitely worthy of it, but you're holding back because you just don't feel you're good enough. You're afraid that your boss is going to say no. And why should they say no? Bring them to me if they do. But anyway.
Farah is here to get you a raise, okay?
Yes, absolutely. You want to get your pay rise and a promotion all in one. And or if you're struggling to speak up in meetings, it could be a boardroom meeting, it could be a meeting just in a group. You're in a group and you're just struggling to speak up or struggling to be heard. Please do give me a shout, and let's help you to communicate with impact. Really, let's help you to communicate with impact. Or you may well be somebody who's gone through a divorce, or you suffer from depression, and you need that support system around you. So please please do reach out. And it's only one day of your life, 7th of April. I know what I would do.
The whole day, it's only 5 hours. So
yeah, 25 hours.
Yeah. So if I'm telling you, if I lived in London, I definitely would make it there.
You'd be speaking there.
Yeah, I would totally be there. So, but
yeah, I would have Cordelia speaking there.
Oh, you would have me speaking there. Oh, that would be great.
Of course, 100%.
I would love to do that. That would be such a great honor. So
maybe we could organize an online.
Oh yeah, we should do that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I'd love to.
I'd love to. I think that'd be great. So I want to again reiterate, please, if for no other reason than to just meet Farah in person and squeeze her. I'm a big person about, well, if you're a woman, that is, I like to meet my people in person and I say, oh, I want to squeeze you. So yes, if for no other reason than that, just go to meet her on April 7th and, bring a friend along and see what you can learn new. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, in a nutshell, if you want bulletproof confidence and if you just want to get more, if you're somebody who is looking to take more action in your life, do reach out to me. And again, my website is www.farahbuttcoaching.com. And as soon as you get onto my website, you'll be able to download the free ebook, Build Confidence with Ease. I also have a Farah Butt business page. It'd be wonderful if you can like it. It'd be wonderful if you can share it with all your friends, family, contacts, basically anyone. And get them to like it. Bribe them. Actually, no, I'm only joking. You don't have to bribe them, but you know what I mean.
And you don't have to bribe them.
You don't do bribes.
There's so much great information. I'm going to make sure that all of the links are with the audio and with the video for this. So everyone will make sure that they can get in touch with you and like your page. Are you on Twitter also?
Yes, I am on Twitter.
Okay, I'll get on your social media.
I forgot to mention, I am actually looking to, although, I'm working with, corporates and, entrepreneurs, and, I'm also looking to run in the future, workshops for youth. So youth focused or youth centric workshops, so that's something that I'm looking at. So I'm not going to talk about what they are because it's best to actually probably just do it. As they say, talk less and take more action. I should read that quote recently. Yeah, exactly. Make it happen. I read that quote recently where somebody wrote, what did they write? They said, don't tell people what you're going to do, show people. And I thought, wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah, I like that.
Me too. I really like that.
I like that. Okay. Don't tell people what you're going to do, show them. Okay.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah, because then you can, and then of course we know that we all use social media as a business channel, don't we? To it's sort of PR, isn't it? To get our message out there. So yeah, I think it's really great. And the other thing I think I really realized, I've learned in the business world, or specifically to do with coaching and speaking. Because, oh yes, guys, if you have any speaking opportunities, please reach out to me. I would love to speak at your event about mental health, about empowerment, about confidence. Do reach out to me because I'd love to speak at your event. I've forgotten what I was going to say now.
Wait, what were you starting on? Oh gosh.
Workshops.
Oh,
that's it. Yeah. Online, offline marketing. That's it. I think that's what I realize now. I think it's about time, managing time effectively, because especially when you're juggling two roles. Let's say, for example, you're a full-time mom and you're running a full-time business, or you have a full-time job and you're trying to, build or manage your business. Then we all know that your hands are in so many different pies, and it's about managing your time as an effective resource. I would say that is something that I realize is a biggie. Time management. making sure that we focus to get the task at hand within the time allocated, because knowing full too well that tomorrow you may be busy with the kids, or tomorrow you may be, delivering, on projects for your boss at work, before you're able to make the transition to running your business full time. And there's no shame in that. And I think that's another thing I want to add. There is no shame in actually holding down a full-time job while you're setting up your business, or while you're accelerating your business. There's no shame in that. I mean, I remember somebody in your university, Richard. I remember he was very senior in finance at Merrill Lynch, and he would often take on contract roles at Merrill Lynch and other finance organizations as he set up his business. And it took him a long time before he was able to actually kiss goodbye to freelancing and actually properly setting up his business full time. And now he set up his second business. I think it's called Go Appy, which he set up with his wife. So I think that's another biggie for a lot of us, actually, time management.
That's a good point, because a lot of people, and I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, we kind of think we're going to start a business and it's going to just grow and flourish just like that. But it's like 5 to 10 years. That's the grind, that's the real deal. And you're going to have to eat in the meantime. So definitely get a job.
Yeah, definitely. And we also know that there's a lot of skills that we need to learn. We have, learning how to, flourish your business online, creating webinars, creating lead funnels, or lead magnets, or funnels or lead magnets. I mean, these are all new skills and talents that need to be honed and mastered. And then it's a case of not forgetting the world of offline, making sure that you're going back to good old-fashioned ways of networking face-to-face. I mean, you can't beat face-to-face communication.
Yes.
We've all heard of companies who talk about, selling from stage. Why? Because we all know that sometimes it's a lot easier to have a direct impact or influence with someone when they've actually met you in person, rather than just having a conversation online.
Exactly. That's why I always talk about squeezing my people. I'm like, come to, I have local events. I'm now traveling around. I might be in London in June for a speaking event, so,
Oh.
yeah. So meeting people face to face, I really see the difference. I've always had online, at least 2 offline, and of course, weekly online events most months in my business.
Brilliant.
And there's nothing like meeting the people you want to serve face to face.
Yes.
I mean, it feels so good. It keeps you invested too. You cannot just sit behind your computer all the time, because you get disconnected from your cause, from your purpose, and even from your ideal, right? Your client avatar. It becomes a client avatar, just like, on a video game or something, as opposed to, I met Sarah today, and this is why I'm in business, because I want to serve Sarah,
Yeah. Yes. And we also know
I got to see the tears come down her eyes, and hold her, and those kind of things. I'm a very compassionate person, that's why I'm always talking about squeezing people. But go ahead.
No, I can tell you're very maternal. You have that beautiful, loving. How can I say? Yeah, you're very maternal. You're very feminine. Very feminine. You're really, really, really. Really, really, just naturally, just you are who you are. And you embrace your femininity, which I think is beautiful.
Thank you.
You're quite gentle as well, which I think is really refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think I'm still firm. My 10-year-old son, he always keeps me on track. I'm digressing, but he was saying on the way home from the grocery store, he says, "Oh, Mom, you've done such a great job." And I said, "Really? At what?" He says, "At being my mom." He's like, "Look at us." What we were listening to, something about, I listen to audios in the car all the time. So it was saying, in order to really embrace other people, you have to have your heart open. And, without loving yourself, you can't love anybody else.
Yeah.
And so he was listening to that. He's like, I totally believe that. I've got to, this reminded me, I wasn't loving myself well today, but I'm so happy that you're my mom, because you have these messages going and you make sure that we know this all the time,
That's so beautiful.
Yes, it is. And it's, these are the other things that help me, when you're saying, like when I have my meltdowns, my kids will sometimes say, Mom, you're doing a great job. Just sit down and you need to take 3 deep breaths, right? Because this is what I do.
Yeah, so they're playing it back at you.
Yes.
That you're a brilliant teacher.
Yes.
You know what I think is amazing, Cordelia? I think it's really amazing the fact that, and that's why I say you're naturally very feminine and maternal and gentle, and it just shows you can achieve powerful results and still be like you have, and you are, just by being yourself and embracing your femininity. You don't have to be this big scary ass,
You don't
woman
have to,
turned commando to actually I hope I said it the right way. I think you get my drift anyway. To actually come across as to be powerful, to get great results from your clients, from your business.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can just be you in all your
And that's true confidence
and shine. Yeah.
That is true confidence. And the fact that you like you said, your kids, I mean, you're living testimony to your kids that you live and breathe what you're teaching, what you're training your clients in.
Yes. So we could just go on and on. I'm enjoying this so much, really. See, now I hope that I get this speaking engagement in June, because I now I have to come over there and squeeze you.
I hope there's less of me to squeeze when you come over.
That's okay.
I posted a message saying, I have 2 stones to lose.
You know what? Yeah, well, we can talk about that off air. But, yeah, because I just did, I think my last 2 YouTubes were about that. When the seasons change, it's okay. It's normal. It will come off. Yeah, just like that. Right.
Like I said, I hope there's less of me to squeeze when you come over.
No sweat. It'll be gone just like that.
It's a seasonal thing, because in winter we go into hibernation mode, don't we? And so we just reach out for winter warm, comforting foods. And then in the summer it's like, right, the salad